Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. We're watching a clip of First Take, talking about Saquon Barkley. What team is the best fit for him, whether it's the Texans, the Bears, or the Giants. I think it all depends on what Saquon wants. Does he want money, or does he want to win? Those are not always the same destinations. So, or does he also want to be heavily featured? Also not always the same destinations. I think if the Texans actually want him, that could be really exciting and a great place for him. I don't know why on earth you would go to the Bears. I don't know why on earth you'd want to stay with the Giants. I'd want to go to a place where I know I can get my touches, where I'm going to be respected, where I have a coach that has command of the building and what's going on with everything. And that's not going to necessarily be, that's definitely not the Bears. So, but the other question is what team should want Saquon and at what amount of money? Saquon Barkley is amazing and I love him and I want to see him succeed. But the problem is that these running backs, especially someone like a Saquon, they get injured, they get banged up, and it's not always worth the money. So if you're going to have to give up a big chunk of money for him, I don't know how necessary it is. So I'm really curious to see what these guys have to say, and then we can break it down from there.
Well, Kmart, I'm going to start with you on this one. What do you think the best fit is for Saquon?
Okay, the most interesting, as we were just talking about on Get Up, is going to be the Cowboys. But the best fit for Saquon from a football standpoint is the Houston Texans. And I just came back from Indy at the Combine, and I was told down there is big interest on both sides there. And it makes sense because when you look at the Texans, the roster that they have under DeMeco Ryans, you've got playmakers, you've got C.J. Stroud. Those two have already teamed up in the offseason, C.J. and Saquon. You've got Tank Dell coming back off of injury. Dalton Schultz, they just brought back, re-signing him. So when you look at the Texans and what they were able to do, considering the fact that we thought C.J. Stroud, hopefully he has a good season. The Texans, I don't know, do they have the pieces? They were hard out in the playoffs. Up until they faced Baltimore, they got rid of the Browns in the postseason. This is a up-and-coming team with an emerging talent.
They were hard out.
Offensive player, rookie of the year.
Up until they faced the Ravens,
if I'm
they won
Saquon
one
and
game.
I want to feel loved, something that I haven't felt in a while, I'm seeing the organization that drafted me pay the quarterback a lot of money and still try to, in his mind, might be trying to nickel and dime me. I want to go somewhere where I'm going to a contender and a roster that has talent where I can be the guy, but I don't have to be the only guy. And I think the Texans provide that for him.
Yeah, I think she's absolutely right. And when you're talking about teams that have an opportunity to make waves in the playoffs, it's the Houston Texans. And Kimberly stated that so well. I want to go in a different place. If I'm Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears,
you're not going to take me to Chicago.
I would see if Saquon Barkley being a part of my team is something I can make happen. Here's why. This is a team with cap space. This is the team that will have the first overall pick. They have so many draft assets to use, too. This is a heavy wide receiver draft. So now you get an opportunity to add a skill set in that room that's different. You're going to have a young quarterback in Caleb Williams. What's a young quarterback's best friend?
Talk about it.
A great run game.
Okay.
And so now you get Saquon Barkley, who's going to have something to prove, who can also be a dump-off asset or a guy that you can get one-on-one with linebackers to get the football out of Caleb Williams' hands if him playing on time is something that you want to see. I believe to add that level of explosivity, to add that level of excitement to an offense that only had DJ Moore last year. Part of what we talk about when we assess Justin Fields has to be that Justin Fields ain't have nobody to give it to or throw it to. And so now you add a guy like Saquon Barkley to what will be Caleb Williams and some of the other pieces you can pick up with your draft capital and also the type of money you will have under the salary cap. I think that could be a big move, but I do believe the Houston move is the biggest for the receiver, and that allows that team to step up a level.
So, okay, here's the reality, though, okay? Yeah, that might be the best move for the Bears to make. But if you're Saquon, you got to be out of your mind. Why do you want to play with under another team with a coach who could be gone in a minute, who, you're having a brand new quarterback who has to learn the NFL, has to discover everything, He's learning how to play every single snap. All this hype, all this intensity, and he's talking about all this draft capital. Saquon Barkley is not 22 years old here, okay? He's theoretically near the end of his career, quite honestly, as a running back, unfortunately. He needs to play with actual veterans, people that are mature, people that have an understanding of what's going on, okay? He's saying, what's the best friend of a young rookie quarterback is a great running back. Okay, that's great. What's the best friend of a great running back? Outside of a great offensive line, a great quarterback, a quarterback that actually knows what's going on, that won't just be like, okay, I got to dump it off to you, I have nowhere else to go, and setting up the running back for failure and be like, here, I just got to dump it off to you, Saquon, but hopefully you can just, juke and make 3 or 4 guys miss and make me look good. No, okay? So he needs to go to a place with a coach that has a great offensive scheme, whether it be the head coach or the offensive coordinator, which the Texans have a competent to a great quarterback, although young, but clearly has matured and clearly understands the NFL, CJ Stroud. So that's what you want to go, right? You're going to be able to have CJ Stroud be able to do his own magic, which then opens up the field for Saquon, and you have the great OC with the Texans, so they'll be able to maximize Saquon, and you have the respect and understanding that DeMarco Ryans is a great head coach, and is already like that dude in the locker room. He is, the culture setter in Houston, okay? He's not going to get that with the Chicago Bears. So it would just be so silly for him to do that. I wouldn't be able to take him seriously if he went to Chicago, and I would say that he's then more looking either A, just for money, or B, he just wants all the touches he can get and wants, I don't know, wants a great big city of Chicago. Like, I just wouldn't take it as seriously. But he could go to the Texans and legitimately have a chance at winning. I mean, like, the Texans could genuinely be in the AFC Championship game, and then who knows? I mean, that's a real possibility for them, especially within the next couple of years. So you got to think, the way I look at Saquon right now, especially with his age and his body and just how many prime years left does he have, you want to be with the most competent team right now, with the maturest guys. It's very similar to me of like when LeBron James, when LeBron James, before we knew he was going to play until he was 763, he doesn't want any of these young guys. He's like, I need veterans. You're not wasting my prime years playing with guys that need to learn how to play in the NBA. I can't do that. Same thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's like, I do not want young guys. I do not want guys that need to learn how to play football right now. Saquon Barkley can't afford to be around guys that are just learning how to play football. He's been doing that his whole career. With Daniel Jones, a new head coach. Like, go somewhere where the coaching is solid, is great, is solidified, has a track record with a quarterback who has already proven himself with other weapons that have already proven themselves. That's where you want to go. Say goodbye to the Giants. Just get out of that toxic area. Do not consider the Bears. I mean, I just don't know why you would. Again, I guess the money, but I don't know the difference between how much money you're going to be offered with the Texans versus the Bears. But I just don't know why you'd want to be playing with Caleb Williams, who is going to have to learn how to play football. If you think Caleb Williams is just going to jump in with Chicago and just immediately be great, no. And if you want to, if the way you want to eat and get your touches is by a little dump-off pass where now you have to look upfield and you immediately see 3 guys on the opposing team where you have to just fight just to get a couple yards and just break down your body even more, by all means, go do that. But I just think that would be one of the biggest mistakes for Saquon Barkley, and I want to see him succeed. I really, really do. I feel like it's such a shame when such a great player gets derailed from not only injuries, but then they're also kind of trapped in an organization that's obviously just not going anywhere or doing anything. So I really think the Texans are kind of the best bet, and if Saquon stays healthy, there's no reason to believe that he won't have a great year, that he's not, that he hasn't left his prime, and you team him up with the CJ Stroud and a few other weapons, the Texans, I think they could beat the Chiefs. They could beat the Bills. They could beat the Bengals. I mean, they could beat any team. they would absolutely be a true bona fide threat. The only way that they wouldn't be is if CJ Stroud takes a massive step back, and the first year just ended up being a fluke year, which I don't think is necessarily the case. But, you know, there's technically always that risk. The NFL is filled with quarterbacks who have had great 1 or 2 seasons only to just never recapture that ever again. So that is theoretically a possibility. But I think Saquon has to look at it where he's like, where is my best chance to be the best player I can be and win on a 2 to 3 year window? And that would be the Texans. That's what I would do. Or a couple other dark horse teams, like say maybe the Eagles, which has changed a little bit now that they're having some key retirements, obviously most notably with Kelsey and stuff. But I think that wouldn't be a bad spot for him either. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Where do you think Saquon should go? Do you think he should go to the Bears or stay with the Giants or go to the Texans? Do you think any team should want him and should want to pay, what he's, essentially looking for? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, please let me know. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then also please let me know. I have the hiccups. I always have the hiccups. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.